So, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We start formally with this lecture, Introduction to Soil Mechanics. So, what is soil and what is a rock? Actually, soil comes from the rock. So, on one end, when you say you are studying rock, actually, you are studying soil as well. And understanding a soil without having a knowledge of rock, it's it's ununderstandable. So you have to, these two go together, but obviously there is thin line of difference. So if you want to define a soil mechanics is a branch of engineering mechanics that describes the properties and behaviors of soil to the force field of their physical environment. What is the force field? It can be a talking. We are talking maybe the physical aspect of the soil. We may be talking about the chemical aspect of the soil. We may be talking about the biological aspect of the soil. So this is the force field. Similarly, not similarly, on the contrary, you can say the rock mechanics is a branch of engineering mechanics that describes the properties and behavior of rocks to the force field of their physical environment. So you see, both the definition are same except the word soil here and the rocks here. So you just have to copy paste this definition here and replace soil the rocks. You are talking about the same thing. Now, what is a soil and what is a rock to an engineer? To an engineer, soil is the unaggregated and uncemented deposit of minerals and organic particles covering the earth crust. And now, for the rock, this unaggregated replaced by aggregated and uncemented by cemented. So that's why out of in the definition I highlighted the green. What is the difference? Uncemented means soil, cemented means rocks. Unaggregated means soil, aggregated means rock. And even then, the story doesn't, ends over here. Studying soil mechanics and studying rock mechanics, they are two different areas. They are two different knowledge areas. So that's why you seldom find a book between explaining soil and rock. Most of the time, this is you have a separate knowledge area in the soil and separate rock area, separate knowledge area in rock. Now, one must be wondering why, despite this difference, they are taught together, because they cannot be separated as well. Because the source is same. Soil you get from the rock. You cannot get rock from the soil, but you get soil from the rock. Then you see what I, when I was defining soil mechanics, I say, this soil mechanics is a vast field. Then there is an engineering associated with soil is a foundation engineering. It's a different science altogether. Though it's a part of soil, but it's a different part. It's a different knowledge area. So foundation engineering is the application of soil mechanics and rock mechanics in the design of foundation elements of structure. So the application of the soil mechanics, one of the application of the soil mechanics is the foundation engineering. Now, foundation can be of an highway infrastructure or a building infrastructure. Both use the knowledge of soil mechanics and rocks to come up with the design of either a building or a pavement. So Sometimes uh, we tend to think the foundation only means the foundation of the building. No, it can be a foundation of the pavement structure as well, right? Then there comes another word, geomechanics, the geological study of the behavior of the soil and rock. Again, if this again is a different science, and it is derived from the knowledge of the soil mechanics. I was saying that, at least I can mention 12 books of soil mechanics, but the limit, this doesn't end. Why? Because some people have the book covering maybe soil, rock, foundation, geomechanics, one thing. But on the other hand, the knowledge, the area is so wide that you can have different clusters of knowledge coming under the soil mechanics. Then there is a geotechnical engineering. Uh, most of the engineering, civil engineering awarding universities, they don't have this soil mechanics subject. Instead, they teach them in the name of geotechnical engineering. Still, the thing is same, but they tend to think geotechnical is the most appropriate topic related in defining the stream of knowledge for a civil engineer. Although in the back end, the soil mechanics is the one, and obviously when you are talking about geotechnical engineering, you may be focusing some of the broader areas of soil mechanics. So you can say also geotechnical engineering is same as soil mechanics as well. So how you define geotechnical engineering anyhow? Geotechnical engineering is the branch of civil engineering concerned with the engineering behavior of the earth materials. Remember, this soil is studied by agricultural engineer as well, because they are thinking of their aspect. There is an engineer cadre known as mining engineering. That's a mining engineer also study this soil mechanics, but he has or someone has his own perspective of the knowledge of soil mechanics. Now, even a golfer sometimes, golf clubber who develop golf, they also study soil mechanics. A person who is responsible for making a pitch for cricket ground, he also studies soil mechanics. Whether the pitch will be grassy, will help the seam bowlers, will it be, it's a clay something, it will help the spinners, all this mechanics, if a person, he may not be an engineering graduate, so even he knows the mechanics of the soil very well. So this is another aspect, the sports. So, geotechnical engineering uses principle of soil mechanics and rock mechanics. So again, you can see this geotechnical engineering is derived from soil mechanics and rock mechanics. So what are the attributes? What areas geotechnical engineering cover? Some of them highlighted, maybe not all of them highlighted, but some of the key points. To investigate subsurface condition and materials, determine the relevant physical, mechanical, and chemical properties, evaluate stability of soil and site condition, design earthworks and structure foundations, and monitor site condition, earthwork, and foundation construction. So you can see how the building and the ground that is soil, are related here. So typical, if you have want to see the geotechnical report, what you will find, you will find the soil properties, the design details, and these are evaluated from the soil samples. Many a times, if you have a soil report or geotechnical investigation, a person will tell, the expert will tell you that for this type of soil, this particular type of foundation is required. And the allowable bearing capacity of that soil may be 1.5 ton per square feet, maybe 2.5 ton per square feet. Maybe it says that the CBR of the soil is say 10. It will also elaborate the ground table location where the ground table exists from the surface level. It will also give you the classification of the soil, whether it's a clayey soil, a sandy soil, a rocky soil. And some investigation also gives you the depth of the bedrock in case you are interested in constructing a high-rise building, maybe a bridge or piling. Even the type of piles also, is stated in this recommendation. Is also stated what type of the pile you have to use here. Soil mechanics. This report, an engineer, civil engineer, if he does not know 2 or 3 things in the life, he is not a civil engineer. One is obviously you need to know what is the how soil code can be read and how it can be applied for its design. Another thing is the contours. Even though this is not particularly the soil mechanics, but if an engineer does not know how to read the contour, then he's in great problem. And if he is not, he cannot interpret the type of the water he will be encountering, there will be disaster during construction of the building. So there are 2 or 3 basic things that a civil engineer must know, and obviously without geotechnical engineering, nothing can be understood. Not a structural engineering, not a pavement engineering. Though in a wider sense, structural engineering is more nearer to soil mechanics or geotechnical as compared to the pavement engineering, but still the basic properties should be known as to you as a civil engineer or transportation engineer or pavement engineer, to be precise. So one type of the foundation is shallow foundation. As you can see in this animation, the thickness of the foundation is very near to the ground. You don't have to dig the ground very much. So this is for transferring building loads to underlying ground, mostly for firm soil or light loads. Why foundation is needed? It's always to transfer building loads to underlying ground. And this is an ideal scenario. And you must be aware that the bulk of the cost incurred during the building construction is the foundation. Maybe 35% of the total structure, depending obviously what type of the foundation as well. And the another cost is your the finishing cost. Otherwise, in between that gray structure does not cost much. So if you have already got the structure foundation built for you, you may not have to have more cost required as compared if you have to construct the building from the foundation. So that's why knowing soil mechanics, knowing geotechnical engineering is very important for us civil engineers. So this is what the pictorial representation of the shallow foundation. Then there is a deep foundation going into the bedrock, and mostly this is in the the shape of the pipes. Depending upon the structure, if the structure may be say more than 10 story, then you may need actually not 10 story, because 10 story is normal, we get the met foundation or combined foundation for that. But if you are going beyond 20 and especially when you are standing at this Jumeirah Island or the landfill structure, then you need a pipe, and that's also be investigated what type of the pile you need, and what if the soil is weak, you may need this type of pile, and all is there in your soil mechanics report. So for weak soil or heavy loads, either the soil is weak, then you have to go for the piles, or the soil is normal, but you are planning to have a multi-story building, maybe 15, maybe 20, or as long as you can breathe and you can afford. This is the timber pile, one of the example of this type of pile foundation. Then the retaining walls. What you can see conceptually, this is an arch, but all this wall is retaining this soil over here. It won't allow soil to fall on the road, right? And you can think of a subway structure, underpass, where this tends to happen. Because you see, this is one road level, this is other road level. So you can think of an underpass where you have to construct these walls to retain the soil. Then there are dams to retain water. There is concrete dam as well. So again, this is a type of a retaining structure that's retaining water in the reservoir. At the other end, there will be gates to maintain water. So you can say the gates are open, the water will flow here, and the water table will rise here, right? And when the gate are closed, that you want your reservoir to be intact, and obviously when you need, you can use that water. This is a dam structure. Again, dam cannot be constructed without the prior knowledge of soil mechanics. This is one of the marvels of Pakistan Tarbela Dam. It's a typical example of dam, how dam. Actually, why I've said is because this dam is used for what? For creating electricity, for making electricity as well. So when I say the water is to be needed, this water can be used, the reserve water can be used, and it's mostly used in Pakistan for making electricity. Because we are the one in Pakistan, we rely more on the hydraulics for for the for electricity. Otherwise, there are other sources coming as well, but the majority of the electricity we get from the dams, and that's why dams are very important. Then there is one example of a concrete dam. You can see how water is flowing. Then how you prepare the groundwork, obviously with the loaders and all the other machineries that are being used to excavate and to compact the soil and whatever structure you need to have. Even for creating a road substructure. And to a surprise, you can come up with digging, you can come up with this thing as well. So be aware of it. You never know what's coming on your way. For us, this is COVID, and it is in the hand of us. We cannot get rid of it. This is the problem for all of us nowadays. So then, assuming it's a COVID and it's a very long thing, and we are trying to sustain that uh, damages from the corona, but again and again, we are unable to do it. Then there is geofabrics. This is used for reinforcement, separation, filtration and drainage in roads, retaining walls and embankments. Then there is reinforced earth walls. This is the, you know, you have to protect the wall from, from the soil collapsing onto the road. This is one way of dealing it. Then there are many ways to deal a falling rock or falling soil, chunk of rocks into the road, and this is the way we can use geofabrics. You know, this costs uh, more than the ordinary retaining structure. Not geotechnical, but retaining a soil, because we are most of the time we do this practice for construction of a road, construction of highway, and highways are built in kilometers and kilometers, 20 kilometers, 150 kilometers. You never know in your alignment how much in your alignment you will find these. You need this retaining structure, and it also depends upon the rocks. If you have a very good rock like igneous rock, you may not require this thing. But if there are some other type of rock, then that that is influenced whenever there is a rain, so then you have a problem. And you always have heard about this chunk of rock, the word landsliding. All these are associated with the study of the soil mechanics. This is, I like, is nailing the soil. You have to grout some bars, some steel bars into the soil. That's what's called soil nailing. Again, it can retain the soil, and then there is a grouting like that. It's reinforcing the soil. A steel rod placed into the holes, drilled into the walls and grouted. Resist lateral earth pressures used in excavation waterfront structures. Sometimes, if you have to excavate the soil, and soil is very low in retaining itself, or it can be a sandy soil. So what happens if you excavate as particular dimension, you find soil falling all the time. This happens usually near the if you're building the your structure near the seaside or the river beds, or maybe the coastal lines, or maybe even where there is a high water table and you have a very fine grained soil. So this tends to fall while you are doing. For example, I have to construct a water tank, maybe 15 by 40 feet and say 20 feet depth. I have, what we do is bring a excavator and try to excavate and try to have an area. Actually, if you have to build 1540, it means you have to excavate wider, because you have the finished structure should be 40 something, so there will be the width of the wall. And you, I mean, if you have a 20 feet depth, you don't have to excavate 20 feet, you have to do more excavation because of the depth of the bottom slab as well as the lean concrete. So actually at least you have to to be to have place for shuttering, and it's removing maybe 1 feet or maybe 1.5 feet on either side. So if you are talking about say 40 feet length, you are talking about excavating around 45 feet. And what happens if the soil is is not responding? It will cave in, and well, then you cannot do anything. So it's going. What we do this sheet pilings. and we insert whenever we are excavating. And you know, from soil investigation, we already knew what type of the soil we are going to encounter in this area. So that's why we have the sheets, so it can, you know, act as a retaining, and this is a temporary, you know, thing. Once you have your walls, concrete walls erected, then you can remove them. But so you need to have a support. Otherwise, every time you come for concreting, every time you have to remove the extra soil. This will get useful, especially we are talking about the concrete of maybe 500 cubic meter or maybe 700 cubic meter. It's a lot of concrete, and you don't have a time, you know, to fix the excavate it properly, retain it, and then do it. So you have to do it in advance. Some people also have, you know, the plaster of say Monty-Morillite clay. This is another clay, kaolinite clay. We'll discuss about it. So you know, even this, if you can use the sheet pile, it's okay. But you can even have the, you know, application of those materials to retain that structure. Again, this will heavily depend how good is your soil report. Then, you know, these temporary sheet piles used in temporary work, especially in the water area, you tends to pump out the water, and you know, you can have those structure built around it, lakes and that. Then there are sheet piles. Another way, it's an interlocking sections, and this is a coffer dam to prevent water seeping in. It's a very common way. You have to have a built structure, a dam to retain the water. Something you do your permanent works, you have whatever you do, remove that and allow water to seep in. So this is another type of structure we do in the soil mechanics.